use a 21mm socket. If you have a wheel lock, loosen up the wheel lock first while you're on the ground. Remove the wheel. Remove the 2 caliper bolts. Use a 14mm wrench. And if you have to, you can use some pliers or a wrench to prevent the pin from spinning. I'm just going to use a screwdriver and just pry out the caliper a little bit. Just compress the piston and then just slide it off. You can use a brake caliper hanger and just find some place to hang it from. Should be good right there. Just make sure there's no tension on the brake hose itself. And take the brake pads off. Now take the caliper bracket off. Use a 17mm socket. Take those 2 bolts out. And slide the bracket off. Now take the rotor off. If you can't get it off just by pulling it, take a hammer. Just give a bunch of taps, loosen it up. Just try not to hit the studs. There's these 2 threaded holes. You can take a bolt that threads into those holes and just tighten it up. See if you can loosen up the rotor that way. There we go. And slide it off. Disconnect this connector right here. There may be a tab that you can push down. On this vehicle, it's not there, so I'm just going to use a pick. Just get underneath here and then just wiggle the connector off. And this is the tab that I just had to get underneath there with the pick. Pry that up. And set the hub up like this so the 4 circles or the holes through the hub are through there. Then you can use a 14mm socket. And we're going to take the nuts off. And slide those off. If you need to, use a magnet. Then with all those loose, you can take a hammer, try to give it a couple hits. See if you can get it to loosen up. And if that doesn't work, you can use a slide hammer. Just put on the adapter, put the lug nuts on. All right, let's thread it on. There we go. So this is separated. Now we just need to pry the hub away from the backing plate. So just try to get this off. I'm just taking a punch and sliding it next to the hub, holding the hub out a little bit and just giving it a tap. It separates the hub from the backing plate. And there you go. I'm just going to take a wire brush and just clean up some of the rust build up in here. It'll make installing the new hub a little easier. Just going to take a thin coat of anti-seize and just put it in the location where the hub goes, just on the hub surface. Take the new hub, just line it up over the studs. Take all the nuts, you can put them in the socket and get them all started. And now you can torque these nuts to 41 foot-pounds. I'm just going to cross over just to make it a little even. I'll just go back again, just double check. Just take a little anti-seize, put a nice thin coat on the hub. When you're sliding the rotor on with the rubber grommet, you want it lined up with that hole right there, so that if you have to, you can take that off and make your adjustments for the parking brake. Now slide the bracket over the brake rotor and put the bolts back in. Now torque these bolts to 65 foot-pounds. Now install the brake pads. Now take the brake caliper hanger off. Now slide the caliper over the brake pads. And put the bolts in. We'll torque these bolts to 25 foot-pounds, and if you need a wrench or pliers to prevent the pin from spinning, then just do that. Use that. It's good. Now we're going to pump the brake pedal, nice and slow. And check the fluid level in the master cylinder reservoir. And if it's low, make sure you top it off. If it's too high, you're going to have to adjust accordingly. Put the wheel up. And put the lug nuts back on. And torque the lug nuts to 77 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. And go back again, just double check.